Hey, what's going on, guys? How's it going? This lesson is going to be about how to play the blues scale across the whole neck of the guitar. So, if you watched the lesson on the 5 pentatonic positions, basically you're more than 90% of the way there, okay? Because basically what the blues scale is, as we went over in the introductory lessons, is you're just simply adding the one note to the pentatonic scale. So if you take your A minor pentatonic scale, for example, okay, if we just do that in one octave, okay, one octave, if you add one note, which is the flat 5 note, you get your blues scale. Okay, and the reason it's called the flat 5 is because this is your 5th scale degree of the full diatonic scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's the 5th degree of the full diatonic scale. 1 less is a flat 5, so that's the note we're adding to create the blues scale. Okay, but the blues scale doesn't use all the notes of the diatonic scale. The blues scale only uses the notes of the pentatonic scale, and then it adds that flat 5 scale degree, okay? So basically, what we're doing here is we're going through all the 5 positions of the pentatonic scale, and we're just figuring out where that flat 5 fits into all these patterns, okay? So I'm going to go through them one by one, and that's going to be how you're going to create your blues scale. With that said, let's get on to the first pattern. Okay, so here's your first position slash pattern of the blues scale. Okay, this is using the standard home box that I call it, or your standard root position pentatonic box. Okay, so you're just going. Okay, so you have your first position of the blues scale down. Now we're going to move on to our second position. Okay, so here's your second position of the blues scale. Okay, so our first position used our first finger on the 1st fret, pinky on the 8th fret. Okay, so now we're moving our middle finger up to the 8th fret, and that's going to be our starting position for this pattern. Okay, so you got your second pattern right there, and that blue note fit right in here. Whereas in the pentatonic scale, without that, it was just. Okay, so this is all very closely related to the pentatonic scale. So on to pattern number 3. Okay, so this third position here, this requires a little shift. Okay, again, we're going to be starting using our middle finger in the same spot where our pinky previously was in the last position. So we're going to use our middle finger, and we're going to go. Okay, and if you want to, what I usually do when I'm playing live and I'm using this position, I use my first 3 fingers only. I don't really use my pinky for this position. Technically it's incorrect, but it's what I do, you know? We all kind of cheat, so. Okay, so there you have your third position of the blues scale. Okay, and then your fourth position up here, starting on the 12th fret. This is like your home box down here, only your roots are located on the A string this time. So I always like to think of this as starting on the A string, but playing through the full scale, all 6 strings, the notes on the low E string are still available to you, and this pattern looks like this. Okay, there's pattern number 4. Okay, so your pattern number 5 is again one of these patterns where you start using your middle finger, and this is up here. Okay, and again, usually when I'm in the higher registers, I kind of don't use my pinky quite as much, so I usually cheat and use my first 3 fingers. So that is your pattern number 5. Now we're going to start over again on pattern number 1. Okay, so now you're back up here again, back to pattern number 1, which is where we started out at. We started out on the A of the 5th fret on the low E string. Now we're using the A up here on the 17th fret of the low E string. Okay, that is the 5 patterns of the blues scale. So let me just give you some final words and we'll be done with this lesson. Okay, so if you worked your way through the 5 pentatonic positions lesson, then you see that was pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of figuring out where that blue note, or the flat 5 it's called, goes within each of those pentatonic patterns. Okay, so the pentatonic scale and the blues scale can be used interchangeably. Again, they can be used in minor keys and major keys. The white dots indicated the minor tonic, the red dots indicated the major tonic, as I keep saying in all these lessons. Or you can even switch to the full diatonic at any point. You know, it just whatever the music calls for. Sometimes you use the diatonic scale, sometimes you use strictly pentatonic, and oftentimes you throw that blues note in because that blues note really works well as a nice passing tone. I tried to throw some examples of some, just basic licks and stuff as I was walking you through these patterns, but all this stuff can be used interchangeably. It's all done within a key. Okay, so for this example, we use the key of A minor / C major. These patterns would have worked for either one, A minor or C major, and this would work for any key because everything on the guitar is movable. Okay, it just depends what your starting position is. So since we were in A minor, we started on the 5th fret. If we wanted to play this in B minor, we would have started our pattern number 1 on the 7th fret. Okay, and then took it from there. Okay, so it's all movable, it's all relative to each other. That's how the guitar works. That's your blues scale across the fretboard. Any questions? Hit me up. Thanks.